I'm back with another story time. I'm so overwhelmed with all the stories in my email. I will do as many as possible. Today, we're going to get into Vanessa's story. Now, this is some work tea. Honestly, Vanessa, you were just living out my dream. I always wanted to be a nanny for a rich family because I feel like their tea is just different. Like, it's real spicy. The story took place in 2019. I had just graduated from college and I was looking for more full-time work. Throughout high school, I had always babysat. One of the family's moms told me I should join this nannying website. It's not like care.com, it's an elite nannying site. You basically have to be really educated and have years of experience. So after 3 months of looking, I got matched up with a family and I had to go through this super rigorous process to get hired. So once I met with the family, they felt like I was a good match, and I had only met the mom so far, but I knew they were very wealthy. I don't know anything about sports, so I went home and I did my Googles, and turns out her husband played for the Golden State Warriors. Part 2. I was a little bit starstruck because I had never really been around this much money in such a big house. Starting out on day 1, the wife was just so nice and the kids were really good. Didn't really have to do much around the house because they also had other house workers. So all I really did was look after the kids, pick them up from school, stuff like that. Her husband wasn't around a lot because of his career, but when he was there, the wife was just so protective. Like if there was any moment where him and I could possibly be alone in the house, she was running right to the room. And I could just tell that something happened, possibly with the last nanny. So one day I showed up early. She had always told me that if I had extra time, I could show up 30 minutes early, stay 30 minutes late just in case anything extra needed to be done. So this day I showed up early just like I had done before. But unknowingly, her husband was the only one there. Part 3, final part of Vanessa's story. I came into work just like any other day, not expecting things to go left. Turns out the wife decided to take the kids to school on her own, so I didn't have to do it. When I walked in, nobody else was home besides her husband. So when she came in after me, she was so upset. As I mentioned, she was always super paranoid about us possibly being alone, despite the fact that nothing had ever happened between us. I had never seen this woman so angry. I was in the kitchen cleaning up because she had fed the kids breakfast before she left. Turns out she had actually texted me and told me that she was going to take them to school. I never got the message because she didn't send it. She accused me of knowing that her husband would be here alone and trying to get to him. She cussed and we argued and fought until I showed her my phone that I had never received the message, and she checked her phone and realized that she never sent it. She would not stop apologizing to me. And the whole time I'm just standing there like, I'm a lesbian. And that's the story on how my boss thought I was trying to get with her rich NBA player husband. Leave it up to me to be the most naive person ever. So when I was 16, I started working at Chick-fil-A. I was a junior in high school and my best friend worked there too. We ended up becoming cool with this girl named Vanessa. Vanessa was actually a grade higher than us. She was a senior. Flash forward, prom time comes around. Me and Vanessa and my best friend are really cool. It's like a little trio going on. And we're all going to go to prom together because my best friend and myself were both dating senior guys. Vanessa was already a senior, so she was going too. Vanessa was super generous and she offered her house for us to all get ready at. We go over to her house that morning and we decide we're going to go get our nails done and our toes done. So Vanessa actually offered to take our dresses into her room so we wouldn't have to ride around with them and we would have enough room in the back seat. I'm getting our nails done and we walk into Vanessa's house. My jaw immediately dropped on the floor. I saw pieces of pink tulle all around the floor. Come back for part 2. Part freaking 2. So like I said, I walk into Vanessa's house and I see a bunch of pink tulle on the floor. You know what this pink tulle was? My dress. And Vanessa had not one, but 2 dogs. So yes, my prom dress for prom that was in 2 hours was scattered all across the floor. Somehow, some way, Vanessa's dress and my best friend's dress made it to the closet. For some reason, my dress never made it to the closet and she left it out on her couch. I immediately started crying. Me and my best friend were literally freaking out crying because what am I supposed to do when prom is in 2 hours? There was nothing I could do besides try to find a new dress on prom night. So I went to the mall. I found a dress. It wasn't my favorite dress, but it was still cute. I still look like a baddie. That whole night, Vanessa's vibe was off. Like, she was mad. And I cannot help but feel like she did this on purpose.
Story time about how I caught my boyfriend cheating on me and I got him arrested. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. My boyfriend and I have only been together for 2 months. I'm gonna call him Rex. We live in a pretty small town and everybody knows that Rex is a player. He asked me out and I said yes because I always had a crush on him. After a few dates, he asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes under the condition that he was totally monogamous. And he said of course. A few weeks into the relationship, I noticed that he was always hiding his phone from me. And whenever he would put his phone on a table, he would flip the screen side down. Of course, this had me on high alert. One night we went out with friends and I made sure that he got super drunk. I took advantage and went through all of his Instagram DMs. And of course he had been talking to about 30 girls. And I knew some of these girls and they knew that we were together. He had even set up a date with one of the girls for the following day at a bar. And you better believe that I was gonna catch him red-handed. I show up to the bar and I don't see them. I go back to the parking lot and there he is in his car making out with this girl. I knock on the window. Part 2 is my boyfriend is in his car making out with another girl. I caught them red-handed. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. My boyfriend Rex quickly puts on his shirt, and the other girl puts on her shirt too. I try to open the door, but it's locked. And to my surprise, my boyfriend gets mad at me and asks me what I'm doing there. So of course I say to him, "What are you doing here?" That's when he finally gets out of the car, and he tells the other girl to stay in the car. I told him that he had promised to be monogamous. That's when he said that I was crazy and that he had never promised that, and that he had no intention to be serious with me. Then he said that I made that entire conversation up in my head. And then he told me to leave. I was so shocked. I couldn't believe what he had just said to me. The girl gets out of the car and she actually apologizes to me. And she told me that Rex had told her that he was single. Then Rex lunges at her, starts pulling her hair, and pushes her to the ground. Part 3 is up. My boyfriend lunges at the girl that I just caught him cheating on me with. He starts pulling her hair and pushes her to the ground. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Tried to get him to stop and I pulled his arm. Then he turns around and starts chasing me. I run back into the bar and 2 guys stop him. I called the cops right away and they came and arrested him. Later on that day, he asked me to bail him out and I said no. Everybody knows what he did. The other girl is trying to press charges and my dad wants me to get a restraining order. But I'm still in love with him and I don't want to get him in any more trouble. I even want to take him back, but I know I shouldn't, right?
Raise your hand if you've ever had a friend expose you to all of Instagram. So this girl we can call Kendall and I had been best friends for 9 years. And ever since we were kids, she would kind of cycle in and out of being a fake friend or not. I really believed the best in Kendall and would always forgive her for the things she would do and move past it. But this came around to bite me. So fast forward to May of 2019, I started dating a guy that we can call Day. He was really cool to be around, but he had some childish habits. We really wanted, doing the nasty to be special in our relationship. So we waited 8 months to do it. And when we started, he would always bother me about recording it. I always felt really bothered by the idea of there being a recording of that. But about the millionth time of him asking me, I agreed. I thought he loved me and wouldn't expose me. So we did it, and I ended up showing it to 2 of my friends. But I avoided showing it to Kendall because that just gave me a weird feeling. Eventually, Kendall and I hit one of our cycles where we weren't talking again. And during this time, Day and I got so toxic that we decided to break up. And during this breakup, Day decided to send the video to Kendall. That's when this video ended up on the story of someone's Finsta page. Like for part 2. Storytime part 2 of my best friend exposing me doing the nasty on Instagram. So Day literally sent Kendall over the video of us doing the nasty while Kendall and I were in the middle of our argument. And on someone's close friend's story on their Finsta, they uploaded the video. Then after that, it was on 2 other exposing pages. Everyone from my school saw it and people from other schools in my town saw it. And then my family had seen it. This was genuinely one of the hardest things that I ever had to go through. People would talk about me, make pages to bash me, and I lost so many friends from this. I was at my lowest and completely depressed, but I had my close friends and family there to get me through it. And now I've officially sued both Kendall and Day. The court dates have not occurred yet because of the pandemic, but I'm doing much better and working on my own little business and trying to leave the whole situation in 2020. If you guys have a story that you'd like to share, follow me and DM me on Instagram.